What's going on YouTube? Gary here, gzduels, bringing you guys a full match between my Blackwings and my opponent, who is using some Fabled engine to try to get basically shooting Quasar Dragon. So he begins by using the rat effect. I'm just going to call it rat, and special summoning also the bat from the graveyard. I'm calling it the bat. And then he synchro summons for formula, which then he desynchrons because he wants to keep drawing cards. So he gets back the rat and the bat, and he's just basically going to do the same thing over again to get formula, and formula is going to allow him to draw another card. At first I was like, oh my god, this is going to be some sort of Exodia. And then yeah, lo and behold, he does have the other desynchron. He gets back the rat, he gets back the bat, and then he discards Grimro, and in order to use Grimro's effect to search one fabled monster from his deck to his hand. And I believe he searched for the Cerebral, or I'm just gonna call it the dog. Yeah, I'm gonna call it the dog. And he's gonna use rat again to discard Cruise, and gets Cruise's effect, which special summons Grimro from the graveyard. Okay, and he's gonna go for the Librarian first, so that when he goes for the Formula Synchron, he's able to draw 2 cards. So now I'm thinking it's probably not Exodia, but it's going to be some sort of Quasar deck, and I don't main Max C, so it's kind of sad. So he uses a snake effect to discard the dog, and the dog comes back using its own effect. And he's going to synchro summon the snake and the dog for a armory arm. And then Librarian's going to allow him to draw another card. And then he's going to set 1 card, and he's going to use card destruction. So he's going to discard the elephant. I'm going to call it the elephant, and the elephant uses effect to search itself, to special summon itself. And he's going to use the upstart goblin and draw 1 card. And he gets so sacky because he draws the dog, and I was really angry at this point because he just gets Ragin, right? And then Ragin gets to draw 2, and Librarian gets to draw 1, so he has a full hand of 3. And he goes for shooting Quasar Dragon, and he has an armory arm. And then he has more plays to do because he discards Cruise using the rat's effect. Cruise's effect allows him to special summon Grimro from the graveyard. And then he's gonna go synchro summon again into Reagan, which allows him to draw another card because he only has 1 card in his hand. So he has 2 cards in his hand, and he's gonna use Upstart Goblin again. Like, life points doesn't even matter to him. He could just give me like a free solemn warning. He doesn't even care. So yeah, he's gonna use desynchron, yeah, and then he's gonna desynchro for the rat and the Grimro, and then he's gonna set 1 more card, and then he's gonna synchro summon for Reagan again, just so he could draw 1 more. It's just unfair what he's doing, really. And then he's going to use the Armory Arms effect in order to equip itself to Reagan, and he's going to end his turn off to me. I draw into a whole bunch of useless stuff, so I'm going to first use the Mystical Space Typhoon to try to get rid of the Armory Arms. See if his shooting Quasar will negate it, and he doesn't. And over here I kind of made a bit of a misplay. I decided to go with the Dark Hole first, which is wrong because I know he's going to negate it, right? And I'll have to summon Gale, use Gale's effect, attack over Quasar, and then using the Kalut in my hand. What I should have done was normal summon Gale, use Gale's effect on shooting Quasar. He'll most likely negate Gale's effect like that. If he doesn't, well, he's dumb, because then I'll just attack over him and I'll have Dark Hole. But he'll negate Kalut, and then I'll just use Dark Hole. And then he's going to use the shooting Quasar's effect from the graveyard to special summon Shooting Star. But if I use Dark Hole, if I use what I just said, he would not have Reagan still on the field, and I would not have wasted a Kalut. So it's kind of a misplay on my part. Not that like it really matters because he has so much advantage. I know basically I'm going to lose game 1. The only reason why I didn't surrender is because I wanted to see how his deck will play out. I just wanted to see how many synchros he can spam. If you take a look at his extra deck, he only has 8 more cards in his extra deck, and he started with a full extra deck. So he's basically used 7 synchros, and he's going to get more synchros. To those of you who think synchros are dead, I beg to differ, especially with Fabled going around like this. So use Monster Reborn on the dog and Synchro Summons with the elephant to get Reagan. Reagan's effect is going to activate. He's going to draw 2 cards. It's like a Pot of Greed. It's a level 5 Synchro Monster Pot of Greed. That's not fair, okay? And he's going to attack with the Shooting Star. And it won't be enough to make a game because he did give me 2,000 life points, I believe. And I'll have to see what I can draw. If I draw something like a Sirocco, it's possible that I can hold on because I could normal summon Sirocco, attempt to attack overshooting Quasar, but I didn't. I drew into the Seal of Orichalcos, stealing people's souls, you know? And I'm just going to normal summon Thunder King. If Thunder King had been any other Blackwing monster, it still would have worked, but Thunder King was, Thunder King, and I didn't get to go first. If I had went first, I would have negated the key Synchro Summons, and he wouldn't have gone off as hard. And I just have to pass my turn off to my opponent, because there's really not much I can do, because he has such a great turn 1 move that, that won him so many advantage. I can just... How do you come back from that? And he's still going, because he's still summoning things like Fabled Raven, and he's just going to discard Cruise, using Cruise's effect, special summon some random Fabled monster from the graveyard, and just he's just seeing how many cards he can Synchro summon out of his extra deck. I think this is like what he's doing right now. He knows that I have like basically nothing, and he's just going to keep summoning Catastrophe. I'm just going to negate with Thunder King Ryo, and I'm pretty sure he knows that I'm going to negate with Thunder King Ryo. It's just he just wants to see how many Synchro monsters he could summon out. And it turns out his Shooting Star could attack once only, and that's all he really needed. And he's going to attack with Reagan first. I have nothing, and he's going to attack with Shooting Star Dragon, and I basically lose game 1. Okay, so game 2. I sided in heavily against him. I sided in Rivalry. I sided in Fossil Dyna. I'm not going to let him win. So I first thought, I'm just going to normal summon the Fossil Dyna and then try to keep drawing traps so that I could keep protecting this Fossil Dyna. But that didn't really happen very well, as you'll see. Of course, he has a whole bunch of cards that can attack over my Fossil Dyna, but if I draw into a Seal of Orichalcos, it changes things, but I didn't. So I decided, I almost made a bad move. I almost thought I could special summon all the Blackwing monsters from my hand and just attack, but it turns out, Fossil Dyna can't special summon, so I have to normal summon Bora and just do 2,900 damage to my opponent, which is not bad, My opponent does have to get rid of the Fossil Dyna first before he could do anything important. So I'm going to set the Soul Drain. And I have all the sided in cards against him. I think I also sided in Veiler against him for this one just because I didn't want Reagan to draw. I didn't want things like Librarian to keep drawing. So he normal summons Raven, and he's going to use Raven to attack over my Fossil Dyna just because, there's 100 attack more. And that's pretty sad, but I think I'll take it because I do have the Rivalry and I do have the Soul Drain, so all is well. And he's going to activate I think he's going to activate the Rats effect, and then I'll change Soul Drain, paying 1,000, and he's going to discard the Snake in vain because the Snake won't activate. But he's going to special summon the Werewolf from his hand. I actually made a misplay. I should have chained Rivalry. I thought there was going to be another opportunity for me to chain Rivalry before he Synchro summons, but this was wrong, and he Synchro summoned Reagan. I was very angry at myself for not chaining Rivalry of the Warlords beforehand. I would have gotten rid of a whole bunch of things. Like Raven is of course a fiend. And the dog is a beast. I forgot what the wolf was. I think it was Beast Warrior, but it really doesn't matter. And at this point, I do have a Kalute, and he did help me draw into it, which is fine. And he's trying to use the effect without knowing that it can't activate really. So he's just going to pass his turn. He didn't even attack my Bora. So I'm just going to use Blizzard in order to get back the Gale. And I'm going to use Gale's effect on top of Reagan, chopping his attack in half. And then I'm going to use the Bora to attack the Raven. and I'm going to use the Blizzard to attack over the Reagan. Yeah, that's pretty good. And I didn't know what to go for. I thought, I might as well Synchro Summon because, it's just better that way. So I chose to go for the level 6 one. I wanted to keep Gale on board because, it's good. Gale's great. And it's my opponent's turn, and he activates Desynchron. And I was like, you can do that on my monster? Oh, that's terrible. And the reason I didn't get Blizzard back is because Blizzard has the effect of not being able to be special summoned. So I don't get Bora or Blizzard back. And he summons Cruise, attacks over the Gale, and I'm pretty sad. But I do have all of the advantage right now. So I draw into Thunder King, and this seals the deal, because if he tries to Synchro Summon, as unlikely as that may sound, I'll just negate it with Thunder King. And I'll attack over his Cruise. He can't add stuff with like Grimrow. And this is basically where the duel turns into my favor, and he's going to lose. I did set the other Soul Drain, because in case he had MST or something, I still could save it. Yeah, so my opponent passes his turn. I didn't normal summon the Kalut because the rivalry would have made me gotten rid of the Thunder King or the Kalut, and I decided, I'll just attack him to death with Thunder King, because Thunder King's great. My opponent's basically drawing cards, and he's seeing that he can't do much, really. And it's my turn. I draw into another Thunder King, but I thought, one Thunder King's enough, so I attack with 1,900 and deal the remaining damage, and basically I win game 2 because I sided in against him. Alright, game 3. I still kept all the stuff that I sided in, but in the first hand I didn't draw anything, and my opponent gets to go first, so I'm in a pretty tough situation. So he uses the Rat's effect, discards the Bat, and the Bat comes back. And he's going to Synchro Summon first before that, he's going to use Dark World Dealings. I'm going to ditch my Zephyros. He's going to get his Elephant. And then he's going to use One Day of Peace. And I still didn't draw into any of my sided cards, but he's helping me get there, so I'm pretty happy with that. I just have to draw into a Veiler or Maxi or, something, at least for turn 2, and pray that he doesn't go into Quasar first turn. So he gets Formula Synchron, and then he draws into Grimrow. He uses Grimrow's effect in order to search his deck for a Fabled monster, which is totally fine with me right now. He's going to have the dog, and he's going to use the snake's effect to discard the dog in order to special summon the snake, and the dog's effect is going to activate to special summon itself. And he's going to, I think, set the 2 cards in his hand, or 1 card. Well, anyways, he's going for Reagan. Yeah, he's going for Reagan, and Reagan's effect is going to activate, allow him to draw an extra card in order to keep his hand at 2 cards. And then, I think he normal summons at this point. Yeah, he normal summons the dog, and he's going to Synchro Summon for the Armory Arm, which ends off all the Synchro Summons that he possibly can do this turn. And before that, he uses Pot of Avarice, and I was like really scared at this point, because before, when he only had 1 card in his hand, I was like, oh, it's going to be fine, because he's not going to get Quasar, but he's drawing 2 more cards, so who knows what might happen, And luckily, he didn't draw into anything good. He didn't even set any cards, and I draw into the Rivalry, and I was so happy that I drew into Rivalry of the Warlords. But before I could set a whole bunch of stuff, I knew that if I set everything in the main phase, he's going to chain the Formula Synchron's effect, go for Black Rose, and I'll cry. So I have to summon Thunder King first in order to attack it. Or if he tries to chain Black Rose, I'm going to use Thunder King to negate the Black Rose, right? And then I'm going to set all of these protective traps that I have. And I decided to even set the 3rd compulsory evacuation device, because if he chains Heavy Storm, I'm going to chain both of the evacuation devices, and I'll be fine. And he's going to use the Stone Excavation in order to try to get back his pot. And I learned from my previous game 2 mistakes, so I'm going to chain Rivalry of the Warlords right now, and he has to declare Fiend. So that means the dog won't activate, but the bat will activate, because it is a Fiend and it is not a tuner monster, so it doesn't matter. And he surrenders, basically, because he sees that I sided in heavily against him. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. This is gzduel signing out.